So great. This week, if you tuned in last week and if you didn't, take this opportunity after you listen to go back and hear what we talked about. We talked about starting over in different stages of life, whether it be moving or anything. And you touched on knowing your worth. And I thought that would be a great conversation to have because, I feel like now more than ever, there's this seeking of external validation. I mean, I'm not saying it wasn't before. We grew up as someone who's always been more heavy chested, a little bustier, all these things. I grew up in an age where slim, no kind of chest, all that. So I had my moments where I'm looking at magazines, I'm looking at videos, like, this is tough. But you see it everywhere now. It's like no escaping it. If you don't have the TV on, you got your phone. If you don't have a phone, you got friends showing you things. So I thought it would be important to talk about knowing your worth and how to not seek external validation.
Man, I love that.
So what would you constitute as knowing your worth? Like, how can someone, if I'm looking at myself and I'm asking the question, do I really know my worth? What would be some things I should be like looking at or asking myself to understand if I actually like knew my worth or not?
Yeah, I love that. I really think that you have to go back, and have a understanding of who you are as an individual and where you come from.
Okay.
And that lends itself to like many different areas, right? So that could be like your history, like where you're from, who your family is, like where you belong, like your that also like who you are in God. I personally, as a believer, like who I am in Christ, knowing my worth, so and then also about who who you are is your personal identity. But when I say your history, it's something about knowing where you come from that instills
I could see that.
this identity and purpose and confidence.
It gives you kind of roots.
It gives you roots. It really does.
Watch Roots. Message! This is a serious conversation, but I love... She didn't know I was going to do that. So.
I was already... But like, it really does. It gives you roots and it gives you like a foundation. And my dad used to make me sit down and watch Eye on the Prize. For those of you...
Oh my God! I remember that movie!
It was like a series.
Yes, it was like a short, kind of like the Jack to 5.
Keep your eyes
On the prize. Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Okay, so what it was a documentary about like black people in America and their journeys, civil rights movement, and all that stuff, and like your Black history, ideally. It's Black History Month. Look at that. And I'm not just relegating that to just black people in general, but it does something when you know where you're from.
Yeah.
Like Nigerians, they know they're Nigerian. Like, they are confident.
African Americans really don't have a pinpoint.
Yeah, it's tough because our history was stolen. Yeah. We don't
rewritten,
whitewashed. Things were created, were taken, and they knocked the noses off the pyramids. I mean, all kind of weird stuff to try to keep our history from us. Some have Indian heritage. That is whitewashed as well. It's very, very confusing. You really have to dig and dig. And depending, you may find it, you may not. It's just very hard. So, but even just in your family, just kind of knowing what were the gifts in your family. Is your, was your father a teacher? Was his father a teacher? What did they do? It kind of gives you context for why you are the way you are and who you are. And I'm the daughter of a preacher, a social worker, and a Sunday school teacher. And I'm like all of that rolled up in one.
Yes, you are.
And it gives you context and gives you understanding for who you are and why you are that way. And so it helps you to not to be able to look within and look back and look up versus looking out for other people to tell you who you are. Like, validate me. But in some ways you will still want to do that because you might not understand a part of yourself. Like, I'm very musical, and I don't know where that comes from because nobody in my family is super musical like that.
Yeah, that you
so
know
part
of.
of me was like looking for someone to say, you know what, you're good
Down
at
the line.
music.
Oh.
Hey, that you are good, because that's not something I was bred around. And so so I understand that, but a big part of it, I really think that looking back, understanding where you come from can really help give you context to who you are and why you are the way you are.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. I never thought about, like, knowing if you have entrepreneurs in your
Yeah.
family and why do I have this business mindset and want to have my own.
And figure and learn to figure out your grandfather had a business, or, all of this.
Wow.
I believe we talk about generational curses, but also believe in generational blessings as
Absolutely.
well. That there are gifts, and just because you don't know about it doesn't mean it's not in operation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wish there were easier ways for us to be able to do things like that.
I wish.
To trace really down.
Yeah, maybe in the future.
I have thoughts about some of my really, really far down lineage that I don't know about. I was thankful enough to know all of my grandparents, know my great grandparents, know where, I'm saying, last name O'Brien, where that Irish comes from. My great grandfather was Irish. Having met him, knew that. And so it does make a difference when you kind of know those things, and knowing your worth, and knowing who you are and establishing yourself. I think it's important before those formative years, before we start seeing anything in the home, getting that validation is important. And some people don't get that, a lot of people, actually, I would probably say, don't get that. And you said something so powerful about looking back, and I think for some people, if there's absent parents,
that's hard.
Then it adds to that lack of identity.
Yeah.
Because there are these questions that you have, lack of answers to.
Yeah.
You see traits in yourself, like, let's say you're just with one parent, and you can pinpoint, oh, I'm like my mom, or I'm like my dad in these ways. And then you see traits that don't look like this person that you've grown up with, and it's like, where did these traits come from? Because I don't know this other person that made me with their DNA inside of me. So
I've seen a documentary where a woman, she was adopted, and I think this maybe it was like on American Idol. She was adopted, and it turns out she can really sing and really play. Well, it turns out when they went back and found her bio mother was a musician.
Wow.
And a singer.
That would have broke me down.
And it turns out, and she was like kind of famous too.
Wow.
Yeah, and so she was able to like hear. She met like the rest of her family, and they were able to connect. And she was able to like hear her mother's records and stuff like that. But she never knew where she got this gift from. And it turns out her mother was a musician, and she never grew up with her. And so that, never was around her, but she still had the gift, and it was just like in her. So, sometimes it gives you context when you find out, where you're from and, all of that. But if you can't do that, I think it's important to like take some time and really allow yourself to figure it out. And I think as parents, my mother was gracious enough to put me in like piano lessons at 7, even though my family that wasn't her thing.
But she just saw it in you.
She just saw that I had this performative, hack for music, and I'm going to get in front of the camera and just show out. You know what I'm saying? Like, do the most. And so I think she felt led by God to do it. But it helps you to cultivate. And if I didn't do well in it, it's okay. But to try and figure out where you belong, and so that you can find your niche and find your place in the world and find your gift, and because we're all looking for acceptance. Like, hey,
Yeah.
accept me, accept me, accept me, and tell me who I am, and tell me what I'm good at, and tell me you
We're
love
looking for people
me.
to tell us who we are too. That is a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's to find your purpose, right? And what you're good at, the thing that you do easily, which can be kind of difficult because sometimes, you don't take it seriously because it comes so easy to you.
Yeah.
It's like everybody
Absolutely.
can write. No, but you can write right. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
No, you can tell a story. No, you can make it come alive. But everybody can do. No, everybody can't do that. Everybody can't tell a story with their voice. No, everybody can't draw the way you draw, or everyone can't,
Cook a meal the way you
cook a
cook a
meal, or
meal.
make sense of numbers the way you do, or
Organize.
and so some
Yeah.
things are so easy that you like, that's
Everybody. This
not a
is so
thing.
easy. Yeah.
No, but it's your thing. That's why it's easy to you, because it's your thing. So I really think that, looking back, finding your purpose, what you're good at, can really help you not look to other people to validate. A part of us is always going to want to do that, but finding your purpose and cultivating that is huge, I think.
I think for me, there's a difference between so true. A part of us will always be seeking validation, but there's a difference between seeking reassurance and
That's
validation
so
for me.
good. That's so
Because when
good.
you know who you are, sometimes you are drawn to people who reassure that or reaffirm it. And so, but if you don't, then you're like, well, you tell me I'm this. You told me I'm pretty, so maybe I'm supposed to be this. Or you told me that I look good in this, so maybe I should always be dressed in this way. I think knowing how to understand how to seek internal versus external validation, operative word is internal. You start to really talk to yourself. Some of us know what we want, but we don't know what we don't want. And those are two different things. So there have to be multiple lists of things that you kind of go through in your mind, where it's like, I like this and I like this and I like this, but actually what don't I like? I need to also know that, so that when it comes up, it's like, I know that that's not me. That's not something that I want to be a part of, or who I am in my validity. And knowing and understanding, and we had a great episode about social media a couple of episodes ago, where we talked about step away from the phones, but don't step away from the phone while you listen to this podcast. Where sometimes you got to step away from social media, because it is so easy to look at something you think is working, and we touch on this a lot. You talk about it being authentic. Something's working, and so we want to do it, but it's not us.
It's not our thing.
It's not our thing.
You
It's
know how many
working because
things-
it's them.
You know how many things I have done because it's working for somebody else and it's not my thing, and I just was struggling.
And you're like, why
I'm
is this
like,
not working?
It's not working
It
for
worked
me.
for XYZ. Okay, so but that was XYZ's thing. It's not your thing.
I cannot leave this conversation without adding the element of faith, because I feel like God gives us all gifts.
Yep.
And we all have a gift from our Creator. And sometimes that thing is not working because God is like, yeah, that's not your thing. And if I bless you over here, then you're going to stay over here. And you're not ever going to do the thing that you were born to do.
Yeah.
And if you don't do the thing that you're born to do, who is left without because you didn't show up and become what you were supposed to become, And so I think that a big part of not having to seek validation from others is when you really get it in your mind that, man, this is what I was born for. The performance I just did, I sang in front of thousands of people, streamed all over the world. And
She said yes, y'all.
I said yes.
You could hear the majority of that story a few episodes ago, but she said yes.
And this is not a tooting of a horn, this is testimony, okay? The only reason why and people were like, aren't you nervous? They were asking me all day, like, I'm getting ready, I'm about to be in front of thousands of people. Aren't you nervous? Because I only found out that I was going to do it that same week, like a few days before that, right? Aren't you so nervous? Aren't you so nervous? No, because in my mind, I had going through that time where I was trying everything but the thing that God I was born to do. So I was trying to do everything else but that thing, because I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, that's not secure. That's not stable. Blah blah blah. And I'm like, let's just put that to the side. And my life is going nowhere. My life is doing nothing.
Jesus help.
It is literally stagnant. And I'm like, God,
Help
I'm
us,
crying now. I'm Lord, why? What's going on? I love you. I read your word. I pray just to make it today. I say we pray.
Pray.
I'm doing all. I love you. I'm your girl. We like this. I'm
You
here
my
for
man,
you.
100 bands.
Period. We here. What's wrong with my life? Fix it.
Ayanya.
I know. Fix it. So I'm like, Lord. He's like, yeah, you're not doing what I called you to do. I'm like, that thing over there, that's really not, I don't really want to do that. He's like, yeah. And that's, anybody can do. No, anybody can't do that. That you can do that. And so I was like, okay. So after being on a struggle bus for many months, I finally said, it's nothing else I can do.
Enough.
I'm tired. I'm like, my arms are too
give
short to box with God.
You was a giraffe. This is how he saw you.
I'm tired. And so at that point I said, okay, Lord, I yield, because I'm going to do only the thing that you call me to do. And that gave me the validation. So when people talk to me and say, aren't you nervous? No, I was born for this.
Man, you better.
I was born for this. And if I don't do it, my life gonna be stuck. So we're not going down that road.
I don't even care if I'm nervous. I'm doing it.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing it.
Hello, is this thing gone? I'm doing it. And it's like, how do you get up there with confidence? It's nothing else I can do. He won't let me do nothing else. So I'm confident at the thing that I'm doing right now. So I hope that gives you validation, because there's something that you were born to do, right? Like there's something we're all born to do, that it's God's mercy and his love that says, I'm not going to let you be successful over here forever. You know, everything has a time limit, but I'm going to allow you to hit a wall and ask me, man, what should I be doing? And then so you can, and once you have that validation from God, now you can step in the world and have a Kanye kind of mentality. I'm not saying act like Kanye, but I'm saying, but you have this confidence, Kanye confidence. You have this confidence or this confidence, like, yeah, you can't tell me nothing, because this is what I'm supposed to do. So it don't matter.
I don't care what you say.
It's for somebody. It might not be for y'all, but maybe in Europe they'll pick it up, or maybe in Africa, or maybe in China, or maybe you're Asian. I don't know, but it's for somebody.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what gives boldness and confidence, that you were born for this. And I think looking back in your history, you're like, man, this all lined up and came together in a way that I'm meant to do this. I'm meant to be here. You know?
Yeah.
So
I love that. And we would be remiss without saying that we find our validation in God.
Man,
that's really we
I
are
can't even
faith
front.
driven.
I can't front.
When you can say, you know, whatever you want, but I know who God said that I was, and so, and I'm not saying that it was an easy journey to get there.
No, struggle,
but
struggle.
You really knowing your worth and getting to your validation. I love what we've discussed. I love you saying the confidence and just knowing what you were born to do. Because I think innately a lot of us, we know what's there. We just reject it sometimes, or we're too scared to press in or tap into it. But like you said, the things that come easy and naturally to you are normally in accordance to your purpose and what you were born to do. For sure.
And when I say not looking for external validation for like your purpose as well, and I don't want to relegate everything to the fact that just doing, but just you being a human. You are loved, you are accepted. It changes you when you have an understanding. It does something to your mental health, to your peace of mind, knowing that you are loved by someone, even when everybody in your life is acting a monkey fool.
Yeah,
you know, or maybe treating you badly, or you know your significant other isn't loving you or validating you or seeing you or appreciating you. In your mind, knowing somebody loves you, baby, Pat LaBelle, and that somebody is Jesus. God love you.
That's
even
it.
When other people not checking for you
and treating you like your throwaway, you're disposable,
treating you like a yellow starburst,
and you are not a yellow
You are not. You ain't never nobody yellow Starburst. Okay. The black jelly bean. You're not that.
Never the black licorice.
Don't nobody want that licorice.
Even
The
though
brown.
they tried to make, see, because why white paper got to have black lines? Message.
Okay.
Where my message?
Somebody take it from her. Okay, so
because we was wolves. but for real, yes, knowing it, and I keep going back to social media because I know the youth, and when I say youth, because I'm an auntie, I mean my nieces and nephews who are the youth, 18 range, and going to college. I'm not that anymore.
I'm not that.
It is curation. It's not real.
It's not real.
People show, even when people are
Stop
like,
comparing yourself.
even when you see people who post, everybody posts the wins, but they never post the fails. That was still a curated video that they did to post that fail. Yeah. I'm not saying they curated the fail, but it was still a curation of the video of what they wanted you to see in real. That fail. It's not real. And so I want to end off with just give your top 3 pointers to someone who is trying to figure out and grow and strengthen their self-worth and validation.
I would say, I can't get around this. I'd say read your Bible.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it's a book about love. It's a book, I know, it's a book with lessons, life lessons. God talking about how he loved you richly, his mercy toward you, his kindness toward you. He wants, teach, it's so much love in that book, and you're dealing with fallen people in a broken world. So of course there's going to be some other stuff in there too, but it just tells you how imperfect people and people can be loved by a perfect God, and it just changes you, and get your Bible, you can understand. So I'd say that number 1, it changed me, and it still changes me every day. I'd say number 2, your community, the type of people you surround yourself. If you surround yourself with people who are abusive and jealous and unfriendly, unkind, you're trying to build yourself up, but they're constantly kicking you down a notch. That's hard. It's hard to maintain your self-worth. Mm-hmm. I don't care how strong mentally you are. It eventually is going to get in there. As you are pursuing, you can only hear so much negativity before it started to affect you.
Yeah, that's very true.
And so I think, be careful of, who's around you and what you listen to. And I say the third thing is, it's like what you put into yourself. You can have control over what you listen to. Mm-hmm. Maybe the people around you don't see it, but you can listen to Les Brown. You can listen to motivational speakers. You can listen to great teaching, great preaching. You can watch YouTube to learn how to hone your skill. That's something, or encourage you or be uplifted. That is something that you can control. Maybe you can't control who you live with, but you can control what you listen to and what you feed yourself.
Yeah.
And, trash in is trash out. Mm-hmm. So what you feed yourself will definitely show up in your output, just like what we eat shows up in our hair and becomes our hair, our nails, our skin, and if we're having problems in our bones and all that, it's because of what we are feeding. So those are things I would say.
Excellent. I agree with all 3 of those. I think for real. Yeah. All of that. I really have nothing to add. Y'all study guide for this week is to digest this message, and I want you all to write out who you think you are.
Ooh.
Currently. Just who do you think you are? And then write out who you want to be.
I love that.
And look at that and kind of compare, take notes, ponder on it, and seek validation that affirms who you want to be.
And validate your own self.
Validate yourself. You're your own validator, Parker. Okay? Your ticket is stamped in heaven.
Yeah.
Validate yourself.
Validate yourself. Speak kindly to yourself.
Yeah.
Think well of yourself.
Yes, I'm gonna add one more
Get
thing.
you a friend that'll talk well to you, that hype you up.
Because I hypes my friends up. Because
and I hype you up.
Great. You do. I'm gonna add one more thing to y'all, because this is it's gonna sound, some people say it's frou-frou, but it's not. Look at yourself in the mirror.
For real.
Like really, like
That's
an actual physical mirror. I don't mean like metaphorically. Get an actual mirror, go in your bathroom, look in that mirror, clean it off from them toothpaste sprinkle stains or whatever.
Hate those.
Just clean it off first, or the dust mites that have been living there for the past 6 months. Then go look at yourself and really, I want you to just stare at yourself for like 2 to 3 minutes and really affirm yourself. Yes. Say some affirmations to yourself. Write some if you want to.
On your mirror.
I have Post-its all around my mirror and everything, and I'm not ashamed of it. I don't care. Because every day you have to wake up and make a choice.
Yeah.
And so that choice could either be me loving myself and affirming who I want to be and on my way to it, or, not doing that.
Yeah.
Our minds are gardens. And so you water the negative, the negative's going to grow. You water the positive is going to grow. It's garden.
Love that.
It really is. And so y'all do that. And we cannot wait to hear. Drop in the comments below what are your favorite affirmations.
I love that.
Y'all drop it in the comment below. We are so thankful to all of you all for tuning in to another episode. We can't wait to be with y'all next week. You know where to find us. We are at Funny Podcast on our socials. That is at FUNIPODCAST. That's on Twitter. That's on Instagram. And, TikTok's still around. We'll maybe do one. We'll see. But you all can see us here on YouTube with these visuals that take some time and effort.
Come on.
And we would love for you to, show your appreciation by liking, commenting, and sharing, and subscribing, and sending it to the last 5 people you text to your phone. We love you so much, and we will see you next week.